and the marriage before you.
Do you think I'm a virgin?
Well, let me think what I want to think.
Oh my God, I'm 28.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Nigel Chambers of Big Go Belt Media Assignment. It's a pleasure to talk to you today, brother. How you feeling?
Good. Thank you for having me, mate.
Absolutely. I am thoroughly surprised of you to even be available for interviews, man. I swear you have our new project dropping, it seems, every few months, man. And between it releasing, you gotta film it. So I'm like, man, you got time for interviews today, but I'm thankful for the opportunity. But I definitely want to start there by just saying, man, just even looking forward to the projects you have coming up and all of the projects you've done in the past. And I gotta say, I especially like to thank folks who's put in the work during the pandemic, in the time of uncertainty, in the time of folks trying to consume content. We didn't know what it looked like, but some of you folks, including yourself, were still out there working hard and kept the world sane in a very unpredictable time. So thank you for that. But just for you, man, how do you balance out this work life schedule kind of thing going on here?
Oh, man. There's no balance. You can't, you just because you know what it's like these days. The filming days are super long days, and they're super long. I mean, you're some kind of exhausted from doing it. But if you love what you're doing, like anything you're doing yourself, if you're content creator, if you love what you're doing, they don't feel like long days. So that's. Right. But there's no balance. You just people go, well, how do you do it? You're like, no, it's 14 hours every day, and that's just. But if you love it, you can go and do that. I did a movie like last year on a submarine, and it was like you couldn't get any cell reception inside the submarine, because it was a real submarine.
Yeah,
but you'd have to go outside to get it. It was like in a dock, like it wasn't really at sea, but it was like
right.
Yeah, but you're like, but we'd be in this thing for like all day, and you're like, and people come up, but then people try and talk to you normally, and they go, yeah, so we're gonna get, do you want to? You have to pay this bill for this. You deal with life as soon as you get out of it, but you can't really deal with life because you're like, oh no, yeah, I'm in my mind, I'm still in the submarine, yeah, sort of. Well, you know what? I'm gonna call you next week when I'm not in a submarine because that I can't even. They're like, what do you mean you're in a submarine? You're like, I got to tell you.
That I feel like that's the BTS that the world needs right there. A day with Simon here.
Yeah, all the way around. People wouldn't believe the mad existence. You're like, yeah, I'm just in the middle of like fighting aliens and vampires, and they're like, what? And you're like, it doesn't make sense now.
Yeah.
In 2024, don't worry.
Yeah. We're obviously going to talk about the new project here. But I think before I even talk about that, I kind of also want to know when it comes to you really taking on an array of characters. I don't really truly know if I've seen you play the same character twice. Yes, certain characters favored other characters, but they're truly unique in their own, whether they're menacing, but they have a comedic tone, whether they're just flat out menacing or just whatever. I just for you, just what is sort of the prep and in all due respect as a professional, I know this is what you have to do, but what sort of some of the tools that you use in order to really shake these characters from one script to the next?
I think you approach everything like life. Like not every scenario is exactly the same. People go, "Oh, well, you've done this before." It's like, if you're a mechanic working on a car, every car is kind of different, even if it's the same model. Like the problem involved in it is different. It's so this is the same thing to a lesser degree. It's like the tools are all the same. The engine's always there. The whole thing is the same. I was like, but what makes it fun is the differences in each one. Like every time we go to the cinema or the theater and we see a movie, well, we're watching the movie for 2 hours. Like we're watching every movie. It's made with these very cool cameras and they've got nice special effects and cool music and stuff like that on it. But it's different. Every movie is different. So like with when you approach it as an actor, you got to think the same thing. It's like, right, it's what you choose to do, right? You got to make some choices on it. You got to make this entertaining or make it fit with the story. It depends on what sort of movie you're doing. But as you say, sometimes you have to make these things menacing and just cold, and sometimes because sometimes that's what they want. That's the tone of the movie. That's what it should feel like when we watch it. Or sometimes they let you flex a little bit and go, maybe you add a little bit of comedy into it. You can still be menacing, but you can be funny and stuff like that. And that's it, but you sort that out with the director and the writer. And you kind of get it, whether they'll let you improvise and stuff like that. You get all those things. So some directors want you to say everything exactly as they wrote it. And some guys will let you flex a little bit. And stuff like that. So each project is very different, and you just have to be not afraid to learn. Like, I don't know, man. Sort of. I don't know what the right thing to do is. You only know what you can do. Sort of. So you go, hey man, I'm just going to do something. If you like it, it's cool, and if you don't like it, tell me what else to do, and I'll do that.
That is the interview right there. The clip. I have got to make sure that gets out to folks. That's some positive affirmation and wisdom for anybody in any career, man. That was well said. And
Thank
yes,
you.
you have a huge project coming up on Netflix, May 25th. This is Fubar, which I had the opportunity to check out the entire season. The first thing that catches your eye with this is like Arnold Schwarzenegger is back and he's doing television. You're just like, oh man, I got to tune in for it. And the moment in the trailer, then I'm like, oh, I know that face. I absolutely know that guy. And I'm like, sign me up for this. And I before I even talk a little bit more about that, just as an actor, because pulling the curtains back a little bit here, a lot of folks don't realize that, like, yeah, you sometimes get scripts, you film a bunch of stuff, and it never makes it. The fact that you and what you've done made it not only into the series, but you are a premier aspect of the selling factor of the trailer. I just want to know what your emotion was once we went from, obviously we got the quick tease that Arnold's back, and then you got the full trailer. You're just like, oh, okay, there I go. What was your thoughts and excitement of that, man?
That was great. I mean, like, so whenever you're in a show, especially one of these, like I do a few of these, I do like either low budget, like indie movies or like $1 million movies, but then every now and then, somebody rings from Netflix, hey, they're doing a $200 million show, do you want to be part of it? And you're like, your scenes with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're like, yep, yes. I'll be, sort of, and then, but when you're doing this as an actor, you never know, because these are big shows. You could get cut out, because they have so much money. They don't, they're only going to keep the best stuff in and stuff like that. Yeah. So you don't go, maybe they won't like this. I don't know. You do the whole scene the whole day, and you're like, maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't fit with the edit or whatever they're doing. I don't know. And you cut out. So when you're never really sure after you do the show whether you're going to be in the show. Sort of you film your stuff and you go and you get paid and everything, like you do the job, but obviously they could cut you out.
Yeah,
you could be one of those famous deleted scenes, or something like that. You never know. So as an actor, you're always like, I always want to tell people I'm doing this. I was like, actually, I just did this big show. I'm really excited about it because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I'm an '80s baby. I grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's I want to tell everybody I went to school with and stuff. But I never want to say it in case I get cut out.
Right.
So the first time, and I'll be honest, mate, the first time I knew I was in the show was I saw the trailer. And I was like, because they sent by the way, they sent me the trailer like about an hour before it went online, so they go, by the way, you're in this trailer, so I was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, oh, cool. And everyone was like, oh man, you're like in the first like 10 seconds of that trailer, it's just you and him. And I was like, great, right? And I was like, I didn't even think I wasn't sure I was in the show, never mind the trailer. So anyway, I was super happy, mate, because it was just like bucket list stuff for me. So yeah.
Dude, I mean, come on now. Listen, you might have to pinch yourself here, because yes, also as an 80s baby, if I was going to act, there's definitely 3 names of folks I absolutely want to be across. And you for sure got 2 of them. I have not checked if you work with the third, but the third would be John Cobb Van Damme. But then you got Bruce.
Yeah.
And you got Arnold. I mean, come on, dude.
Oh, I've done a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme as well.
There you go, the trifecta.
No, I need somebody. I was like, somebody get me Sylvester Stallone. I want wherever Rocky is, find me Rocky. I need to get whatever he's filming now. I need to get in it. Like, must be Expendables 12.
Dude, yeah, that what great company there. Yeah, that's amazing, dude. And you're seeing and I don't want to give anything too much away here, but I'm just going to say this, that the scene sets the tone for things to come. It establishes a lot about Arnold's character, but it also the resilience and sort of the dilemma and conflict that he's going to kind of go down. But like much like which I felt like with this, if you remember in A Dark Knight, the early scene of the Joker kind of being established as the villain, and you have that scene where you have somebody like Michael Jai White there, and you're just like, oh, okay, these supporting characters that really establishes another character that really sends it on way, and it sets the tone for things to come, which I absolutely love these types of edits in the beginning of anything. So with that being said, and you knew you had to really get this series going. And honestly, this is considered technically a pilot episode because kind of how things are kind of done here. knowing that you had such an importance to really getting this over, really getting the fans engaged, and really happen to like realize that you're sitting across from Arnold Schwarzenegger here. What was some of the tools and some of the mechanisms that you used in order to really bring that menacing side of you? There was no jokes here. You were all about business. What was it that you were kind of chuckling through your head here?
Yeah, so Arnold is, he's a tough guy, as in he's the guy on his own. Remember, like, so he's the guy that can, he talks with you, but also can beat you up. My guy is, I'm always the bad guy that's like, I don't fight, right? I have heavies, henchmen to do that, right? So you can be powerful guy because it doesn't really matter. I got 10 guys in the room. I don't have to look behind me. I know they're there. So it's sort of like tough in a different way, but he's like tough as in he's going to take all 10 of us down anyway, sort of. And what I love about it is the way that they write him. Nick Santoro, the writer and the creator of the show, did a great job at capturing that sort of like sort of dry humor that he has, a little bit sarcasm. So he's sort of smiling all the way through this, and we're all thinking he's an idiot, and obviously he's about to kill us. Sort of, he's got that sort of like extra level of confidence that is amazing. So, which is what I loved about those old 80s, 90s movies. They always had my
yeah, dude, absolutely. How good is your German, man?
Right, so let me tell you how good my German is. My German was so good that when I turned up, and I don't know any German at all, by the way, when I turned up, Arnold Schwarzenegger started talking to me in German, and I was like, between the takes, and I was like, I don't know any German, and he was like, oh, you don't, and he goes, oh, your German was really good, and I was like, yes, it was, because you thought that I spoke German, just in general. So I was like, great. I was like, I was sort of nervous about that because I had to have like a friend of mine. I was like, can you record me this line in German? And I'll just try and practice it. That's because I don't speak any German. I wasn't even sure what I was saying, to be honest. But they gave me these lines. And they give me these lines and the rest of it. When I first got the job, mate, I auditioned in my British accent because I'm British. And then they were like, okay, you got the job. And I was like, but we want you to do it in a Flemish accent. And I was like, what? And I was like, what? What is that? If you spoke to me in a Flemish accent right now, I don't even know if I'd be able to tell you where you're from. And they're like, oh, from like Holland, And I was like, I don't even know if I know what that sounds like. I can't think of it in my mind. And then they would go, don't worry, we'll get you a voice coach and stuff like that. So I had to speak German and have this weird, Flemish accent. And I was like, anyway, I was like, is my scene with Schwarzenegger? And they're like, yes. And I was like, right, I'll be there. Yeah, don't worry. I'll figure it. Don't worry, I'll figure all that out. That's fine.
Oh man, little do folks know like how just if you hadn't just been such an empathetic character, how this whole series could literally be about you. Could have just ended right where it started,
This is what we need. We need to tell Netflix, okay? I'm sure there's a Netflix person secretly listening here. Netflix, there needs to be a show about Simon's character, the spin-off about Simon's identical twin, who may be good, may be bad, avenging his brother's death.
Hey, work for Fast and Furious.
Exactly. It's fine. I'm not doing any more work for Netflix unless that show gets greenlit right now.
Is there any sort of obviously you read the script here and it says cyanide. What is your thoughts here in terms of like emulating this moment here?
Look, whenever I'm reading this thing, I can't help it. The problem is that I know it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, so everything you read about the show and everything, it gets really fun. By the way, I've got like this screen next to me, which has got 5 pages of things I can't tell you about this show. Like, this is a big list from Netflix going, you can't say this, you can't say that. If I say any of these things are on this list, which is really weird because they're writing them all down, they literally tell you what not to say. But then I might read it to you, and then Netflix will turn up to my door and kill me.
Or Arnold. Hired by Netflix.
If I thought it was Arnold himself, I might say it just to go, hey.
Wouldn't that be something? Listen, I will be remiss here. And again, folks, you can check out this entire series coming to Netflix May 25th. It is a treat. There's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of good moments. There's some very surprises and just good storytelling here. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about. I got to give you a moment to talk about things to come. Again, the future is looking really, really, really bright for you, sir. Any projects you may be able to talk about?
Well, I've been very lucky. I've got this dropping on Netflix on May 25th, and I think I'm allowed to say this. Am I allowed to say it? I know. Anyway, I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm in The Witcher, which is another big Netflix show. Their season 3 show, which is dropping some point in June, and I don't know the date for that. No,
okay.
So I've got that coming up, and a horror movie as well, which we just wrapped on, called The Influencer, which is like a social media horror movie. So I got a lot of work coming up. So it's good, you know.
Yeah,
so a lot of things coming out. I'm excited by all this stuff.
I am excited for the De-Influencer. I've heard amazing things thus far from folks that got to check that out early.
Yeah.
And yeah, as a horror enthusiast, I need all parts of that. So
you need to see that one. So we got the first one. The first one, called De-Influencer, is already out. So go check that out. And then the next one is coming. We just wrapped on the sequel. So that's called De-Influencer Clickbait.
Clickbait, yeah.
And there's a third one coming that we're just about to start work on, like literally in a couple of weeks.
So don't get me wrong. The original De-Influencer is out.
The original one's out right now. Yeah. So it came out last year, and we got some good numbers on that. So
yeah,
check that out, because we're making 2 more. So that's how much they loved it. And we made 2, not 1 more, but 2 more.
Yeah, I saw it make some it made some noise in the festival circuit, and I did not think it. I mean, again, this is all result of the pandemic here, where you just do not know when something's apparently out and whatnot. But I'll do my work and go find that for sure, so I could be ready for the next 2 there. Yeah, but again, I heard nothing but good things about it.
Good. That's what we like. It's like getting stuff out there. You know, it is. It's important just to get people to see it once it's there.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll set a date, because that means once the second one drop, we got to talk again. You we got to just keep talking, man. You're a treat, and I really, really enjoy your work. And I'm one thing for sure. Again, thank you for the work you've done during the pandemic, and absolutely just keep working, man. You are somehow, some way, always attached to the projects I love, and it was a absolute honor to talk to you today. Make sure Netflix doesn't do anything and knocking on your door. So make sure you read that nice little list of things. Say very thorough.
This nice little thing. I didn't even know there was going to be homework. There's like 5 pages of things. I was like, Jesus.
What's up? Yes, for sure, man. It was a pleasure to talk to you, folks. Check out Fubar. Fubar on Netflix, May 25th, 8 episodes. It is a treat from beginning to the end. And you're going to see Simon getting you in the door very early in that series, and setting you up for all things to come. Simon, thank you again today, and I hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, mate.
Absolutely. Take care.